Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Sorry it's been a minute. I actually was at camp, if you don't remember me talking about it in one of my other videos where I was going to be singing, and then I actually got very sick. So it's been a little bit of a break, but we're back, hopefully. And today I wanted to talk to you guys about having hard conversations or crucial conversations. So I actually got this idea from a book called Crucial Conversations. I'll put it on the screen. And so I do not claim these ideas as my own. However, it did change my life, and I really wanted to put it into a video format for those who may not be really readers and to learn some of the tools and skills that this book gave me. So hopefully this video will help you if you have a really hard time having hard conversations. So I am the personality, if you will, that loves the peace. And I've been this type of person from a very early childhood. My mom and dad used to call me the peace child because I would like to create peace, and I also hated any arguments or tension. I would shut down. And so that has lasted with me through my entire adulthood so far, up until when I got married, when I was like, oh shoot, this is a big deal that I actually have to deal with, because having a hard conversation isn't actually bad. It is very much something we have to get comfortable with doing if we're going to be successful in all our different spheres of influence. So it's just really crucial in all different aspects of our life to master the skill of having hard conversations. So when I realized that this was one of my built-in defaults to avoid hard conversations, I said, nope, I want to get better at that. So I will not claim that I am amazing at this. However, this book helped change my life and reframe some things in my mind, as well as give me tools on how to approach conversations to really make the most out of them. So I'm going to break this concept down into different videos. So this video, part 1, is just going to tackle kind of what is a crucial conversation, and also why it's so important to learn the skills to master it. So the book defines crucial conversations as a conversation that moves from totally chill, having a great time, exchanging things, to all of a sudden there's high stakes, varying opinions, and strong emotions. And I think we can really recognize this easily if we're in tune with our bodies. You might not, and that's totally okay, but a lot of us who are in tune with our bodies will feel like your heart rate rise, your throat clenching, your stomach feels queasy, you might feel like shutting down, or you might feel like you want to fight. And those fight or flight fawn responses will become triggered, and if you're aware of it, you can start moving the conversation into a healthy form of approaching the crucial conversations. However, if you're not equipped with the tools, you will realize this is when the conversation goes awry and a lot of negative things can happen from it. There are 3 main ways that we tend to approach having a crucial conversation. Is A, we avoid them, B, we face them and then handle them poorly, or 3, we face them and handle them well. So we have 3 options, and ideally we would do the third option, which is face it and handle it well. Unfortunately, when crucial conversations come up, we usually handle them very poorly. A lot of the times this happens because we ourselves are not aware that the conversation has moved from a normal conversation to a crucial conversation, and in turn we're not conscious enough to actually put our best foot forward into that intense conversation. So instead of handling these conversations at our best, we end up handling them at our worst, which is really unfortunate because it's crucial for a reason. It's important. So why does this happen? Like I said, we already have our bodies to acknowledge when this happens. So I'm going to read this really quick. It's kind of like a summary of what it is in the book, and to explain how our bodies respond to facing a crucial conversation. When we're suddenly under pressure, our bodies start pumping adrenaline into our bloodstream. At the same time, our brain redirects blood from the non-essential activities to high priority tasks like fighting or running. We see this obviously in psychology a lot. When you are faced with fear or high stress, your body will start responding to the natural instinct, which is to protect thyself. And that's why the essential things like fleeing or fighting get amplified, but those aren't necessarily really great for dealing with people and actually you're safe, you're actually just having a conversation. And so we have to rewire our brains in that way. As a result, the reasoning section of our brains receives less blood, which can make it difficult for us to handle challenging conversations effectively. Number 2, crucial conversations are usually spontaneous. Catching us off guard means we usually aren't prepared and don't have the necessary tools to navigate such a complex and important interaction. This normally ends up with us saying something we don't normally mean and not realizing how hurtful or stupid it is till later. And number 3, lastly, we just might not have had any good examples of how to navigate a crucial conversation well. You might have initiated the hard talk or planned ahead what you needed to say, but that doesn't mean you're doing a good job. I think this part is really important to acknowledge, because even if you're like, okay, I need to have this hard conversation, it wasn't spontaneous, you knew ahead of time that you needed to have this conversation, it doesn't mean that it's actually still handled well. And so I think that's really important to acknowledge as well. Just because you think ahead doesn't mean you're doing a good job, which is no shame to it. We just might not know. Like it says, we might literally never had the example given to us on how to do it well. When it comes to like a romantic relationship too, it's really important to have these hard conversations effectively. And you can see this really well in how relationships stay together and which ones break up, because it's not about the topic that you disagree about all the time. It's really about how you're arguing and how you're communicating. And so a study conducted by Howard Markman revealed that by analyzing a couple's communication during crucial conversations, researchers were able to predict 90% of divorces. And if the couples learned how to hold crucial conversations, the chances of breaking up dropped more than half. So now we acknowledge that knowing how to deal with crucial conversations, intense conversations, hard conversations, it's really important to handle them well. So how do we do it? First, we have to undo the conditioned fool's choice, which is a response which says, oh, we only have 2 options. One is we have to speak up and then get beaten down. And I feel like you see this a lot in companies or ministries, or even maybe your parents had this opportunity to beat you down, where you spoke up, you might have disagreed with something, and you just got destroyed verbally, maybe physically. You just got, or maybe you didn't have all the facts and you felt like you got beaten down because someone just obliterated you with their information that they knew. The second conditioned response is we think we have to suffer in silence. So we have to zip it up. This is my conditioned response growing up. I thought that to keep the peace, I just needed to shut up and move along. And you find yourself bitter. And for me, I thought I was keeping the peace by doing that, but realized much later in life that I was the one suffering at the cost of not speaking up. And so I had to learn that it was fake peace that I was accepting, and that I needed to speak up, whether or not what I was saying was correct, or they wanted to go with my option, or whatever it was. I needed to be able to speak up and feel safe about that, to be able to feel confident moving forward and have true and honest peace in my relationships, my work environments, and in my spheres of influence. Also, if you're the one speaking up and bringing something to the front, people who are receiving that have a tendency to feel like you're against them. And so we feel like we have to make a choice between being honest or being kind, and that's not true. So we have to learn that there is, in fact, a third option. We have to condition our minds to believe that we don't have to just shut up, and we don't have to be speaking up and then expecting to get shut down. The third option is this, and every person who does crucial conversations does this question in their mind. They say, how can I be 100% honest and at the same time 100% respectful? And the good news is that this does not have to be something you're gifted with or born with. You can, in fact, learn this. It's a skill you can exercise and learn and get better at. Okay, so now that we've established what a crucial conversation is, why it's important, what happens to your body, and that it is in fact something you can learn, what is the first step when entering into a crucial conversation. So the first step is, in fact, dialogue. At the core of every successful conversation lies the free flow of relevant information. And you might ask, how does this lead to a successful crucial conversation? Well, we are going to tackle this a lot more throughout the rest of the series, but for now, we're going to talk about the pool of meaning. Each of us have our own experiences and feelings and belief systems that drive our actions. And this is our own personal pool of meaning. We have all of our experiences and they're in this pool, and everything we do and say comes from our experience, our beliefs, and our feelings about such pool that we have. And the thing is, everybody has their own, and they're going to differ because they have their own experiences and own feelings and own backgrounds and own belief systems. So to have a crucial conversation, by definition, means that we have opposing pools of meaning. You have one perspective and history, and I have another. People who are skilled at having crucial conversations do their absolute best to make sure everyone involved in that hard conversation feels safe and that their thoughts and opinions are valued enough to add to a shared pool of meaning, even if their opinions are controversial, wrong, or at odds with their own. The reason this is important is because it allows room for more accurate and relevant information into the pool of meaning, which in turn helps one make a better and informed decision. And you might think, is every crucial conversation a decision? And honestly, I think it might be. I'd have to really think through that, but I'm pretty sure it is. Every time I think about it, I'm like, some decision has to be made in every crucial conversation I've had, whether it is a work decision that has to be made, a relationship compromise that has to come about. There's some sort of decision having to be made, and that's why having those information pooled in together is better, because now you have a more accurate picture of what the issue is. So as you can guess, this would take longer than just trumping someone else's opinion or shutting up and staying silent. And so although it does take longer, the quality of choice outweighs the time it takes to make it. And this is proved a lot throughout the book, so I really encourage you to read it if you haven't. But they talk a lot about the businessmen that had to come about this, where they had to make very expensive and large decisions, and although it took them longer to come to a decision because they were inviting more people in, the better quality of a decision they had because they looked at all the facts, because they listened to the people who had them. So on the other hand, you can imagine that people who are very wise can make really dumb decisions, because you might have someone who's withholding information because they are shut down and shy. You did not keep a safe environment to have them share that information. That is very important for you and them to make that decision. Also, something I've been thinking about a lot recently with the concept of a shared pool is that whenever you have more people have input to the decision being made, it's not only more accurate, but also those people are more bought into whatever you're doing because they feel a part of it, because they had something to add. Whereas if you don't have any input, you just kind of go along with it, you might be bitter, you have less passion and drive to whatever you're doing because you didn't care. You either kept quiet or it wasn't safe and you got shut down, and now you just don't care. And now whatever the choice was is not being fully upheld by everyone involved. So in conclusion of this part 1 of Crucial Conversations, I just want to reiterate that if we are arguing, if we're debating, if we're running away, if we're acting ineffectively, it's because we do not know how to embrace shared meaning and have effective dialogue. And so I just want to get into your brain, if you will, that that's not good. And it is in fact a learnable skill, so there is hope. And I will see you in part 2, where we're going to talk more about the actual to-dos and how to really effectively continue on learning how to have crucial conversations. So step 1, let's work on our dialogue and be safe places for people to share information. So I will see you guys next week, in a couple weeks, I actually plan to do a vlog. We'll be going to camp number 2, and I want to show you guys the experience of singing for the second time and just the whole road trip and the whole experience. So keep an eye out for that, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!